I was lucky. Right time, right place. Timing is everything. We've heard these all before.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're going to watch this show on YouTube or wherever you're going to download your podcast, this show is free, and I appreciate your support. You can show your appreciation if you're watching on YouTube. Become a subscriber. It's free, it's quick, it's easy. Just click that red subscribe button, and when you see this, the thumbs up, it means a lot to the show. Smash it. And I don't want you to miss one episode. Click that bell notification, and you are covered Monday through Friday, as well as all post-game reaction shows. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions are going to apply. Real quick shout out in case you hadn't heard yet. Coach Lincoln Riley, he's been dealing with pneumonia. So that's why he missed practice Monday and Tuesday, but he was back out there on Wednesday with the team. So we're hoping he's feeling better. Fight on, Coach. We need you this weekend. Get well. Timing is everything, right? You know, a lot of the choices we make in life, whether it's personal, business, whatever, we do it based on making a calculated move. We want to pick just the right time to do something. And it really doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Again, personal, professional, whatever. Let's say in your personal life, you see a girl across the room. You wait until she's alone, you're to kind of go over and introduce yourself, break the ice, or is it better just to kind of trust your confidence? Go out there, make a play with everybody watching. Whatever happens, happens. Let's say you're USC's head football coach. Are you going to decide how to control the play clock that gives you the advantage? Or are you going to rotate in your guys, which is going to allow the other team to rotate their guys in at a much slower pace? Again, timing's everything, how you're going to control the clock. If you're the quarterback, are you going to throw the ball before the receiver's open? Or are you going to be more calculated and say, I'll wait till he gets open and then throw the ball? Picking the right time, that's going to make the difference between success and failure, but you have to decide. On yesterday's episode of Locked on USC, I brought up a couple of quotes from Trojans defensive coordinator Alex Grinch following Tuesday's practice. I read just 2 quotes. There were more. And the longer I let his answers kind of marinate, the more I kept telling myself, if I'm the head coach, if I'm Lincoln Riley, and my friend, he's dragging me as well as the program down, I've got to do what's best for everybody involved. So I'm going to make sure the athletic director's in the office, and I'm going to sit down, and my good friend Alex Rich is going to sit down, and Jen Cohn is going to be sitting in the background. And before he gets handed that big old fat severance check, I'm going to give him a big old I love you, bro hug, a letter of recommendation. I'm going to say, this is what we got to do now. Timing is now. I got to do it. Can't wait till the end of Can't wait. Doesn't matter if we do it at the end of November. We do it at the end of October. I got to start repairing this team. And as far as clock management reputation, this will help me. Like I said, timing is everything. Doesn't matter if it's for you the end of November at the final game of the regular season, or if you do it now at the end of October. Rip the Band-Aid off. And let's be honest here. It's not like Coach Riley hasn't done this mid-season before. He fired one of the Stoops when he was coaching Oklahoma. There's no magical cure at this point. The defense is not going to suddenly find itself and start performing like it's supposed to on paper. Just not going to happen. Not going into game number 9. And I have to believe that Coach Riley put together a staff, or at least he believes that he is somebody who he can kind of gently, shove into those coordinator duties for these final 4 games, or after this game, the final 3 regular season games. That way you can start focusing on who you're going to hire for next season. And who knows, maybe you've got the guy on your staff right now. I get it. That's not the type of motivational speech that a coach wants to give, because when a coach loses their job, some guilt, some anger is going to take over from those players. They're partially responsible. So you had Utah's pig farming quarterback Bryson Barnes. He had a career high in passing and touchdown passes, 235 yards, 3 touchdowns in the same game. After practice on Tuesday, Coach Grinch tried to explain why someone with such limited success playing football found his groove against USC's defense. Quote, "There's a number of different formations that you've got to do a better job of. Obviously, getting lined up. They do a great job of stressing you just from a big people standpoint, from a Wildcat standpoint, and so much stuff, some of which you can practice and you have a preparation plan for. Other things, you got to just trust your rules in those moments," end quote. Cliff Notes version of that word salad means USD's defense is broken. We've heard all of that before. He continued, "A lot of times it comes down to a guy making a play, especially on those things that may not show up on film prior to going out there. Man, you've got to trust your rules in those moments. That's the only card that you've got that you have to play," end quote. What rules? The one where you ask a defender to run into a gap and then all of a sudden you're leaving a big chunk of green grass exposed? Is that the rule? Trust the card? Is that like, I don't know, what does that mean? Are you like trying to buy an inside straight in poker? You just keep betting and hoping it happens? It's not good poker. He continued. Is it a physicality standpoint? Is it one guy? Is it 2 guys? Is that one guy going rogue trying to make a play? Honestly, at this point, it doesn't matter why. It doesn't work. You're speaking Greek to a bunch of young adults who speak football. This is what they want to hear. See ball, tackle ball. One guy going rogue to make a play isn't why this scheme suffers the way it does, Coach. I'm sorry. Quote, Alex Grinch. He says a lot after practice. We've got to make sure the eye discipline never goes away. That's something that obviously we've got to get corrected. And really, I'm disappointed that we're still having some of those same issues through whatever it is, 8 games, end quote. The defense had the same issues last season. I mean, come on. If you're going to be here for these last 4 games, swallow your pride. Throw away all those shifts and the stuff that makes everyone's eye discipline go cross-eyed. Whatever you're doing, stop doing it. Just run a base 4-3 defense. Because let's be honest, I think that's the personnel you're sized up for. You got everybody small up front. I don't know if you can run a 3-4. You have no true nose guard. And, the one guy who I think you have is Kobe Pepe, but he doesn't play. And if you forgot, he wears number 94. If you see him on the sideline, that's his number. Coach Grinch also said, it's a good group. We're not getting the results yet, which is, again, my responsibility. But, man, probably closer than you think. And we've got to keep battling, end quote. I appreciate that you're taking accountability and believing in your guys. And I truly hope that the feeling is being reciprocated. I talked about it on an earlier show this week. It's not. Former Trojan safety linebacker Dion Bailey has also heard enough from Coach Grinch. Don't tell me you didn't see on film. Don't tell me you didn't see something on film and it was ran the week prior. WTF are we doing up there? This is a very, very bad look. This is a problem, and I'm actually concerned now! Exclamation point. There it is. PrizePicks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, it's just you picking more than or less than on a 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then you're just going to watch the money kind of roll on into your account. PrizePicks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. And PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you want to watch: college football, college basketball, NFL, NBA, NHL, you name it, they're doing it. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they will go more or less than their PrizePicks projections, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. At PrizePicks, you aren't competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Here's a few examples. Caleb Williams will have more than or less than 2.5 passing touchdowns. Marshawn Lloyd will have less than or more than 97.5 rushing yards. USC's defense will allow less than or more than 3 passing touchdowns. PrizePicks offers a recently improved deposit and withdrawal experience, including you have the option now to use Apple Pay for quick deposits into your account. That's a secure way to do things. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege, and they're going to give you a first deposit match up to $100. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first-time deposit. They're going to match it up to $100. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business, and you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster, and they're going to do it for free. You know how easy it is to use LinkedIn to find a job. It's also just as easy to create a free job posting on LinkedIn Jobs. And then once you add that job listing, take that purple hashtag hiring frame, put it onto your own LinkedIn profile, and that's going to spread the word that you're looking for someone to work. LinkedIn is going to provide you simple tools like screening questions, and that's going to make it easy for you to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview as well as hire. Recruiting the right person for your team means a better product. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus the leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions are going to apply. College football season is here, and this season, Locked On is kicking up our coverage. Each Friday, Locked On will go live from 11 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On College YouTube channel. Locked On College Football Live will cover the college football playoff implications, the conference rivalry games, and they're going to go in depth like only Locked On can, including insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Live every Friday from 11 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on any college YouTube channel. You're not going to want to miss this. The repeat opportunity is over for Caleb Williams. So, Coach Riley, let's not chase the Heisman Trophy, kind of like you were chasing points last Saturday against Utah. Right, Coach? Let's move forward. Move on. Let's get back to making USC's offense great again. If you're watching on the rundown, that's what we're going to talk about in this segment. Let's use the run game to set up the pass. You want to know why? I know, and I feel really confident saying I don't think Coach Kiel McDonald left Utah to come to USC to get beat by Utah 3 straight times. That wasn't on his bingo card. I know Coach Kiel can recruit. and find guys who aren't highly ranked. He did it at Utah, and you know what? They had a lot of really good success before some of that tragedy took over. And this year at USC, I've seen enough of Quentin Joyner. I saw a little bit of a Marion Peterson back in the spring. I know that they've got two young studs in their pipeline. He can recruit. He can eyeball talent. But USC's offense, it needs to be more than one dynamic guy. I've seen this done before at USC. In the same backfield, 2,000-yard rushers and a 3,000-yard passer in the same season. It is time for Coach Riley's offense to mature. You can stick with the air raid principles. I get it. That's what you were nurtured on. I get that. But it needs to be more run-centric at its core. Go back to what you were doing when you were at Oklahoma. My God, man, you've got two human joysticks on your team in the backfield. I mean, has the thought of lining Zachariah Branch in the backfield even been looked at practice? And I'm not talking about, kind of like in a offset type of thing. No, I mean I formation behind the quarterback, maybe even a pistol formation. I know what he's capable of on special teams. You see him doing on punt returns. You kind of have to play in a phone booth in that capacity. And what I mean is you've got to be able to make a move in a cluster of bodies in a very small space, right? What running backs do. So let's give it a shot. I'd love to see Zachariah Branch be USC's version of Quiz Rogers. Yeah, the guy up at Oregon State who killed USC. I'm not talking full-time switch to running back. I'm talking get the ball in his hands in as many creative ways as possible. I'm talking Reggie Bush. I'm talking Percy Harvin. I'm talking Peter Warwick at Florida State. Christian McCaffrey at Stanford. Speaking of number 5, no, not Reggie Bush, Stanford's number 5, Christian McCaffrey. Did you know that Zachariah Branch is the first Pac-12 player since McCaffrey to score a touchdown rushing and receiving in the same season, as well as punt return and kick return? First time this has happened since 2015. Right now, USC's running backs are essentially, they're the same, they're kind of the same size. Lloyd, Austin Jones, Darwin Barlow, even Quentin Joyner, a little bit smaller than the first three, but they're all the same size. And while they're relatively, same body structure, Marshawn Lloyd, he can run between the tackles and take a power run and turn that into an open field, see me in the end zone type of run anytime he touches the ball. Zachariah Branch, you can do a lot of things with him. He's just much faster and more of a jitterbug guy compared to Marshawn Lloyd. I'd hate to see Coach McDonald move on after the season because his group of guys aren't being used to the best of their abilities. I'm not saying he's planning on it. Just saying. But I do have to wonder about it. I have to wonder, I'm still not convinced that if Lincoln Riley has turned the running game off when he noticed that Caleb Williams only had 6 yards of passing after the first quarter against Utah. I'm really convinced that it's like, you know what? I got to get my Heisman guy some yards. And I just don't know why. Marshawn already had 79 yards at the end of the first quarter. USC as a team, I think, had 199, whatever that number was. Utah as a team was giving up only 67 yards per game going into that contest. If my untrained eyes aren't enough to convince Coach Riley, maybe Joel Klatt's eyes have more credibility. This is what he said on one of his shows recently. From USC's standpoint, you look back at this game, and I just don't think that USC went down giving their best pitch. I talk about out pitches. He's using baseball parlance. This team has this game has lost 2 games in a row, and everyone's going to point at Caleb. Offense. Is the defense good enough? And I understand that because those are the overarching narratives that have been built. When I look at Lincoln Riley's teams, and this has been true going all the way back to Oklahoma, they're at their best when they're running the ball effectively and really well and often. You see, it's not a pass-first offense and really never has been. When they're at their best at Oklahoma, they were balanced to the tune of running the football over 250, 75, 275, sometimes even 300 yards per game. They could run the rock. Early in the game against Utah, they were able to do that with Marshawn Lloyd. Marshawn Lloyd is part of their out pitch. It's not just Caleb. You see, when they lean too much into just Caleb being Caleb, what it ends up being is just schoolyard because they don't have the wide receivers that get open downfield on time. So Caleb ends up having to hold the ball, back up, create space, and then throw it in scramble rules. Their wide receivers aren't creating enough space, and it's in part because they don't put defenders at the second and third level in conflict with play action. That is what was so good at Oklahoma, is the fact that when they ran the ball that often and that effective, they were able to put the defenders in conflict. When those defenders were in conflict, they got more open receivers downfield. Caleb doesn't have open receivers downfield because a lot of this is drop back pass. The threat of the run is not there because they abandon the run too soon. End quote. Let me repeat that last part. The threat of the run is not there because they abandon the run too soon. Okay, I said all that days ago. I've been saying it for weeks. No offense to Joel Klatt and his trained eyes. Lincoln Riley, listen to the outside noise. We're here to help. The media is not coming after you. The media knows what you're capable of. They've seen it done. You're getting away from it. Go back to what you're good at. Balanced offense. Run the ball. Take advantage of Coach Kiel McDonald and what he brings to the table. Use those running backs. Help Caleb Williams look like Caleb Williams again. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you bet $5. That's it. $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's literally no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including the point spread. You like player prop bets? They got it. You like the over-unders? Jump on it. They got a whole bunch of other ways too. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. I think overall, we just have to do a better job making sure our guys are in the right place. They understand what to do, and they know how to do it. And then ultimately, having the confidence and the ability to go out and perform on game day. Tackling really came up in our last game against Utah. So we spent a ton of time on tackling and leverage and making the plays on the ball carrier. We've talked a lot about finding ways to get negative plays and or sacks. And we had opportunity to get sacks in our last game. We didn't finish them. And that was really due to tackling. So I think if we had tackled better, we had more sacks and negative plays, they look better. So I think those things we're always looking at scheme. We look at scheme each and every week and what our players are showing and what they're good at, things that maybe are giving our opponents issues, and try to marry those two. That's something that we always do. But I would say we have really good coaches on defense. We're not playing as well there as we all expect to, and that's a shared responsibility between all of us, coaches and players. End quote. Psych, no, that was not me parroting Alex Grinch. That was me literally parroting Cal's head coach, Justin Wilcox. Remember, they played Utah the week before USC. The same Justin Wilcox, who was defensive coordinator at USC. Yep, that one. He was USC's defensive coordinator for Steve Sarkisian back in 2014 and part of 2015. The Trojans went 9-4 in 2014. They won the Holiday Bowl. And then after 5 games in 2015, Coach Sark, he was fired. Clay Helton took over from that point forward. The Trojans finished 50th, 5-0 nationally in scoring defense. They gave up just under 26 points per game. And they were 65th in total defense. They were giving up 400 yards per game. And then the day after Stanford beat USC in the conference championship game, Justin Wilcox was fired. In January 2016, Wilcox became Wisconsin's defensive coordinator. Paul Christ was Wisconsin's head coach at that time. Oh, by the way, the Badgers went 11-3. They won the Cotton Bowl, and their defense was ranked in the top 10 in I would say 3 or 4 different categories. Definitely multiple categories. I know that. And he's been Cal's head coach since 2017. During that time, he's had a 33-40 overall record, 18-35 in conference. Look, this is a game that USC needs to win convincingly. Just one time this year, they got to look good. But here's why I'm a little concerned. Last year, USC, they had to hold on to beat Cal, 41-35. For those of you who don't remember, USC had a huge 34-14 lead going into the fourth quarter. Most of you who watch this show are pretty intelligent, right? USC was outscored 21-7. It wasn't USC's run D either. They held the Bears to less than 100 yards for that game. I think like 65 yards. But they gave up over 400 yards passing and 3 touchdowns to Jake Plummer. He was their quarterback at the time. USC special teams also had a rough day at home. That contributed to Cal's second half comeback. Here's what Coach Wilcox said after the game last year. We didn't play our best on really, this is what Coach Riley said after the game last year. Pardon me. We didn't play our best on really any sides of the ball. Didn't have a very good first half offensively. Did not finish the game well defensively. Made some big special team plays, but also gave up a few. Obviously, a lot to improve on. We know we're going to have to improve. But if you can improve by winning, you're going to be there at the end. Yeah, we're hearing a lot of those same words this year too. I know. Last year, when these teams played, it was game number 9 when he made those comments. Guess what game it is this year? That's right. Coach Riley's words probably haven't changed that much. We've talked about in the previous segment. Let's get back to making this offense great again, right? Cal's their run defense, it isn't great. They give up about 145 yards per game. USC's new look offensive line last week, it pushed around Utah's defensive line, especially in the run game. I told you, they had 100 yards at the end of the first quarter. Coach Henson said that's going to be the offensive line now going forward. So run it again and keep running it until they stop you. And you better, because in a few weeks, you got UCLA, a few games away. They've got the number 2 run defense in the country. Now, who has number 1? James Madison. They're not even FBS eligible to play in a bowl game this year, but they play at the FBS level. Cal, they're going to try and use Jay Knott to loosen up SC's run defense. And they're going to do that because they've got a redshirt freshman quarterback. I mentioned his name on yesterday's episode, Fernando Mendoza. If Cal gets their running game going, I have no doubt going up against Alex Grinch's defense, Mendoza is going to look like a Heisman contender by the end of the game. Here's what Cal's head coach Justin Wilcox thinks of USC's defense. I think they're really talented. I think one thing to consider, we need to perform better on defense. Talking about his own. Also, I think some credit needs to go to some of these offenses. The offenses that you're seeing are very, very gifted and talented offenses, very different than a few years ago. Not that they didn't have good players, but the level of talent has certainly been improved. Our job is to, regardless of who we're playing, to go out and play good defense. Looking at their defense, I think they have excellent edge players. They create a lot of negative plays on their own, either sacks or tackle for loss. They have a guy inside, number 90, who is a very, very talented, gifted player. I mean, extremely talented. The safety is very, very good. So I think they've got very talented players, and we're excited to play, and we're expecting them to play very well. Did you notice what I noticed? What I said before. USC has a lot of good individual players, but they don't have a good team of players on defense. That's what Justin Wilcox just described. He was also asked, to give his opinion on this rivalry coming to an end. And he essentially said, let's just talk about that after the season. Although what he was intimating is he's not happy about it. So that's what the other side thinks about this game, at least on the surface level. I gave you some of my opinion on what Coach Wilcox thought. You can tell me what you think. I'm going to be back again tomorrow with another episode of Locked on USC. We're going to talk about this upcoming game, what's going to happen on offense, what's going to happen on defense, any other coaching news that might be coming, as well as my Friday rant. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.